Most women do not lose interest suddenly. It only looks sudden to the man who missed the emotional shifts happening slowly underneath the surface. The slower replies, the reduced curiosity, the emotional distance disguised as being busy. And here's the uncomfortable part. A lot of men think women lose interest because they weren't attractive enough, rich enough, dominant enough, or exciting enough. But often, attraction fades for a much simpler psychological reason. The emotional experience stopped evolving. So why do some relationships slowly lose energy even when nothing bad technically happened? And what's the surprisingly simple fix most men never even consider trying? Modern dating advice often overcomplicates attraction. People talk endlessly about status, tactics, and game. But long-term attraction is deeply tied to psychology, especially emotional engagement, novelty, emotional safety, and identity. Human beings do not stay emotionally invested because of looks alone. They stay invested because the connection continues feeling emotionally meaningful over time. In this video, we're going to break down why women often lose interest, the subtle behaviors that quietly kill attraction, and the simple shift emotionally intelligent men make that keeps connection alive naturally. Not manipulation, not pretending to be mysterious, real emotional depth. And by the end, you'll understand something powerful. Attraction usually fades long before people officially leave. The signs are emotional first. A relationship starts intensely, long conversations, excitement, curiosity. Then slowly, everything becomes repetitive. Same conversations, same routines, same emotional patterns. Now the man becomes confused because technically he's still doing everything right, but emotionally, the relationship feels flat. Human beings crave both safety and stimulation psychologically. This is one reason novelty plays such a powerful role in attraction. Not because people are shallow, because the brain naturally responds to emotional engagement and newness. Now, immature men hear this and think, so I need to become toxic or unpredictable. No, healthy unpredictability is not emotional chaos. It's emotional aliveness, trying new experiences together, having evolving conversations, continuing personal growth, maintaining humor, playfulness, curiosity. A lot of men accidentally become emotionally static once they feel comfortable. They stop flirting, stop surprising her, stop evolving themselves, and eventually the relationship starts feeling emotionally asleep. Attraction needs movement, not anxiety, movement. And the men who maintain attraction longest are often the men who continue growing as human beings instead of emotionally parking their lives after commitment. Which leads directly into another massive mistake. A woman initially feels deeply attracted to a man, but over time, his emotional world slowly starts revolving entirely around her. He constantly needs reassurance, gets anxious over small changes, becomes emotionally dependent on her responses. Now she feels pressure instead of attraction. This is one of the hardest truths in dating psychology. Love and emotional dependence are not the same thing. In attachment theory, anxious attachment often creates behaviors that unintentionally reduce attraction because the relationship stops feeling emotionally free. Instead of connection feeling enjoyable, it starts feeling emotionally heavy. Now, this doesn't mean men should become emotionally cold. That's another extreme. The real goal is emotional stability. A grounded man enjoys connection without making his emotional survival dependent on it. Women are often deeply attracted to men who have emotional self-regulation because emotionally regulated people feel psychologically safe. And ironically, the more emotionally fulfilled a man becomes outside the relationship, the more attractive he often becomes inside it, because now he brings energy into the relationship instead of only extracting reassurance from it. That difference changes everything. But there's another issue most men never notice happening. A woman tells her partner something important emotionally. Maybe she's stressed, overwhelmed, insecure, and instead of truly listening, he half listens while checking his phone or giving instant solutions. Over time, she stops opening up as much, not because she became colder, because emotionally, she stopped feeling understood. One of the deepest human needs is emotional attunement, the feeling that another person genuinely sees and understands your internal experience. And many relationships quietly die when emotional attention disappears. This is why emotional neglect often hurts more than obvious conflict. At least conflict still contains engagement. Emotional disconnection feels invisible. Now, here's the important part. Women often lose attraction emotionally before they communicate it directly. Why? Because many people attempt emotional repair internally first. They hope you'll notice, hope things improve naturally, but if emotional disconnection continues long enough, attraction slowly fades. So what's the fix? Presence. Real presence. Put the phone away. Ask deeper follow-up questions. Remember emotional details. Listen without trying to immediately solve everything, because people stay emotionally attached where they feel emotionally understood. And honestly, that feeling is becoming rare in modern relationships, which brings us to a counterintuitive truth most men misunderstand completely. Most women do not lose attraction because a man becomes too nice. They lose attraction because the emotional energy becomes too passive, too stagnant, too disconnected from aliveness. There's a huge difference. Kindness creates safety. Passivity creates boredom, and emotionally intelligent men understand how to create both comfort and emotional tension at the same time. That balance is rare, and it leads directly into the next point. Think back to the beginning of most relationships. There was teasing, curiosity, spontaneity. Now compare that to many long-term dynamics. Everything becomes logistical: bills, schedules, responsibilities, routine. The relationship slowly shifts from emotional connection into operational management. Playfulness matters psychologically because it creates positive emotional association. Couples who laugh together consistently often maintain stronger emotional bonds because humor lowers stress and reinforces connection. And this is where many men unintentionally become emotionally serious all the time. Every interaction becomes practical, necessary, functional. But attraction thrives where emotional energy still feels light sometimes. That means flirting even after commitment, joking, creating shared experiences, keeping emotional spontaneity alive. A woman wants to feel like your partner, not your coworker managing life logistics beside you. And here's the irony. The simple fix most men never try is not becoming more controlling, dominant, or mysterious. It's becoming emotionally present and playful again, because often the relationship didn't lose attraction completely. It lost emotional vitality, and vitality can sometimes be rebuilt. Which brings us to the deepest point of all. A man tells a woman, "I need you." At first, that sounds romantic, but over time, something changes. Now she feels more emotionally responsible for his stability than emotionally desired as a woman, and those are completely different emotional experiences. Healthy attraction requires both connection and individuality. A woman wants to feel chosen, not emotionally trapped inside someone else's emptiness. This is why emotionally grounded men often sustain attraction longer. Their love feels voluntary, alive, not emotionally desperate, and psychologically, desire fades when relationships become based purely on dependency instead of admiration, appreciation, emotional intimacy, and mutual growth. So continue seeing her as a woman, not just a role. Flirt with her, notice her, appreciate her emotionally, continue dating her psychologically even after commitment begins. Because attraction fades fastest where appreciation becomes assumed instead of expressed. And many relationships quietly starve from emotional familiarity without intentional connection. Here's the deeper truth underneath all of this. Most people don't actually want constant excitement. They want emotional aliveness. There's a difference. They want to feel seen, desired, connected, emotionally awake inside the relationship. And honestly, many couples don't lose love completely. They lose attention. They stop noticing each other deeply, stop listening carefully, stop bringing energy into the connection. Then eventually they mistake emotional neglect for lost chemistry. But chemistry is often not something you magically find forever. It's something emotionally intelligent people continue creating through attention, growth, playfulness, and presence. and mature women notice this deeply because emotional consistency alone is not enough. Relationships also need emotional vitality. That's the balance, safety, and aliveness together. And the men who understand both usually keep attraction alive far longer than the men obsessed only with surface level tactics. If this resonated with you, don't just ask yourself whether a woman is losing interest. Ask yourself, what emotional experience does being with me consistently create? That question changes everything. And I want to ask you something in the comments. What do you think slowly kills attraction most often in modern relationships? I'm genuinely curious what patterns people have noticed. And in the next video, we're going to explore another fascinating topic: why emotionally unavailable people often feel more exciting at first, and how to tell the difference between genuine chemistry and emotional instability. Until then, remember this: attraction rarely dies from one big moment. It usually fades through many small moments where emotional connection stopped being nurtured.